Hello everybody, it's Mary with Stamps-N-Lingers, and it is 1 o'clock on Thursday, which means it is time for a Facebook Live video. Let me just double check that I am actually transmitilating over here. It appears that I am. Aha, yes I am. All right, okie dokie. Well, here is our card for today. It's a really springy card, and I think you're going to like it. It uses the wonderful Flowering Tulips stamp set, which, as you know, does come bundled with the Tulips dies, but we don't even need these today. We're going to instead use my go-to workhorse, hey Joan, the Stitch So Sweetly dies. All right, if you don't have Stitch So Sweetly, I highly, highly recommend them. They are amazing and wonderful. And this is the card that we're going to make. Uses some of the beautiful Flowering Fields DSP, and it is an easel card. I am a fan of easel cards. I can't help it. I love them very much. All right. And on the back, because there's really nowhere to write a note, I went ahead and I stamped a couple of tulips in Poppy Parade and Petal Pink on a background so that you can see that. But it looks like I got a little bit of glue here. Hey guys, appreciate you joining. Hi Vicki and Joan and Julianne and Marva. I'm happy you're here. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. This is super, super easy. Especially when you're going to have all of the card cuts, which you will have tomorrow on my blog. So don't even fret over that. So Flowering Tulips, there's actually a multitude of DSPs that you could have chosen. I kind of prefer this one with the smaller print. I looked at the one that's got the big, beautiful Poppy Parade and Petal Pink tulips on it, and I was like, whew, that's going to overtake that panel. So that is why I chose what I did. And I only cut out 3 pieces of Blushing Bride before I realized that what I really wanted to be using was, you know, Petal Pink. So use Petal Pink. You can use Blushing Bride. It's just not going to look the same. Hi, Faith. Hi, Bree. Hi, Connie. Appreciate you guys coming. Betty and Catherine. And hey, Amy. Appreciate you coming. All right. So let me put this aside. I have a Pear Pizzazz mat. And the first thing I'm going to do, I cut a couple of little narrow strips of this DSP. And I was going to get all head up about it being continuous, and then I was like, yeah, no, don't be silly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a little bit of liquid glue to adhere these to my Pear Pizzazz mat. And what I'm doing is I am eyeballing this distance, okay? So we know what a mat looks like when Mary makes a card. That's pretty much my spacing. Let me hold it up. And so really you just want to be sure you have equal space around all 3 of these sides. And we'll do it again on the other side. All right. Well, today is a beautiful sunny day. A little chilly. Yesterday was, I'm going to just go out on a limb and call it kind of nasty. It was icky. A lot colder. We went out and did some shopping, and Wayne was like, I don't even think I need my heavy hoodie. Well, you're going to need your heavy hoodie. And he did, in fact, need his heavy hoodie because the wind was a blowing booger. All right, so there's that, and this is on our mat, okay? So we have a Petal Pink card base that we're going to use and Pear Pizzazz for our mats. Now, I'm going to also mat this larger piece. Now, let me just make the card base, and then I'll be able to show you. If there is anything difficult at all about this card, and there really isn't, the only hard part is keeping the orientation of your DSP and your mats, because these mats are only 1/8 of an inch difference. So it's a little bit longer lengthwise than widthwise, and it's pretty easy to get that borked in your head. Okay, so this is our small card base that's on the front. This is the easel, and it is 3 7/8 3 3/4, sorry, by 7 3/4 long, and we're going to score it at 3 7/8, and again at 5 3/4. 5 3/4. Only hard part here, making sure you get the right slider so that you're not cutting when you mean to be scoring, or you'll be replacing your card front. And then we'll go ahead and get it folded up here. When you're making a fun fold in particular, it's good to, hey, thank you, Catherine. Thank goodness for the Stampin' Up! Folks telling me, because there's no telling if I'd have figured it out myself either. You do want to make sure that everything is straight when you're making your folds, especially on a fun fold or an easel. Otherwise, everything kind of folds up cockamamie. Okay, so there's going to be our fold, our card, and you can see how it's starting to come together, right? Okay, so here's the dealio. What you're going to do is you are basically matting a sort of square, but not quite, just enough off to make you have to think about it, card front here, okay? And I will not tell you how many of these pieces of DSP that I cut wrong. So if you're using a DSP with a distinct up and down design like I have, you kind of want to be sure that you have cut it correctly, okay? It's 3.5 by 3 5/8. Okay, that's really close to each other. So take your time when you're making your cuts, because that truly is the only difficult part about this whole thing. So let's go ahead and, oh yes, I hope you don't get your storm too, Janelle. I think we're done. I really believe winter needs to take the clue and head out of town. I'm done with it. I am done with it. Okay, so here's our card front. And I have a similar piece, another piece of DSP of similar, okay, exact same size. And I'm going to adhere it on a second mat, and that's going to be on the inside. And we're going to put that in right now on the inside of our easel, or easel. Now, I'm just going to tell you, I would never have put Poppy Parade and Petal Pink together, but it works. Just saying, it totally does. Okay, so we're going to go here like so. And then, of course, you do have to have an easel. Whenever you have an easel card, you need to have an easel and an easel stop, right? And I have created an easel stop using a die cut from Stitch So Sweetly. So I stamped a sentiment from the Flowering Tulips, and it is cut with a Stitch So Sweetly, and it's going to go like this. And we'll wait until we have everything else done so that we can put it in the right spot, okay? All right, now for my card front, I stamped another sentiment, Love You So Much, and cut it with the next to smallest of the rectangles in Stitch So Sweetly. And then I have this size die cut of another piece of, actually it's the back of the one we used on the inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere this with liquid glue, kind of like right in the middle. You know, as close as my highly calibrated Mark 1 eyeball can get without getting out my ruler, because that's not gonna, I'm not gonna measure. Come on, man, I am my husband's wife. I'm not gonna measure. Alrighty, now let's take a little bit of this Petal Pink cotton ribbon. Remember, this is the one that comes packed. You have a Petal Pink and a Misty Moonlight. We're going to use the Petal Pink because Misty Moonlight just wouldn't be so good on here. Let me check that. That looks crookedy to me. All of a sudden that looked crookedy, but I think it's a, as my husband would say, it's an optical conclusion. Okay. I'm going to take a little bit of Stampin' Seal Plus and put a little strip of roulis right there. And then use that to make kind of a loose Z. And we'll just double it back like this. Try to keep it straight, Mary. And I try to go about the same distance on either side there, right? So she says. She says while doing exactly not that. Stick. You can also use glue dots, but this little strip of Stampin' Seal, you can use Seal or Seal Plus. I prefer Seal. I was always that girl that used the fuse instead of Seal, or Snail as it was at the time. So I prefer Seal Plus, and then we'll just give that a snip like so. And then let's get some dimensionales. 6 inches of snow. Oh my goodness, just in time for more. Oh no. Okay, so now I'm going to put some dimensionals on here. You don't get a whole lot of extra thickness with that kind of a ribbon, so you don't need to worry about where your dimensionals are going to go, and you don't need to do double stacked or anything like that. You can just do straight up dimensionales. Straight up dimensionales. Like so. Yeah, you might have thought I was going to do no dimensionals, but no. I'll always get a dimensional on a card if I can. If I don't get a dimensional on a card, somebody send help because I'm being held against my will. Just saying. All right, so now we just kind of want to center that on the die cut-ish. And also straight would be good, Mary. Straight would be good. Yeah, that looks pretty straight. Okay, good. Now, because I will always find a way, I will not always be able to find them, but I will always find a way to put some of these little butterflies on a card. And I think a card that is for spring demands some of these brushed butterflies. I just think they do because they're gorgeous, and butterflies are free to fly away. Okay. Also, butterflies are really a sign of spring, I think. Okay, let's go. This one doesn't want to be flying exactly the same way as the other two. Gosh. Okay, there we go. Now, to create this, all I'm going to do first is I'll go ahead and use liquid glue. I'm going to use liquid glue so that I have a little squiggly time to adhere this to my card base. Use a little more liquid glue than I might normally. Let's make sure we put it on right side up, because these are right side up and I want it to be all right side up, because upside down tulips would be weird. Okay, so you're just going to center that up with the same margin here at the top and the bottom, and as close to the same margin on each side as you can. There we go. To adhere the easel, all you're going to do is put some liquid glue on just this bottom portion of the flap. Now remember, you don't want to get way out here to the edge because this is inside that. All right, it's matte. It's not the same exact size, okay? So now we'll just do, again, a lot of Mark 1 eyeballing here, but you can do it. And you're really just laying that on as if you were adhering it to a regular card front. It's just that there's only glue from the bottom down. Okay, and you can open it up like this if you like and give it a little press. And there we have our easel made. Now, any good easel needs an easel stop. And we're going to put it up on dimensionals, because any good easel stop has dimensionals. Maybe that's why I like easels so much, is by default I have to use dimensionals, right? Or, well, I actually did make a couple where I used bead trinkets as the easel stop, and that was kind of fun. I like that. Alrighty, and we'll go ahead and get this in place, and then we'll do a quick backaroo and be done. See how easy? You haven't really worked any harder than you would to make just a regular old card. But boy, I'll tell you what, people think these are the bomb diggity when they get them, because they're cool, right? Now, you could go to a whole lot of trouble to mix and match and make sure you put this exactly where you want it. But the truth of the matter is, with this size of a label, of a die cut, you're just going to kind of put it near the bottom, centered and kind of straight. Centered and straight is kind of good right there, like so. And then that's where it's going to be. If you put it up any further, it's going to stand way up like this, and you can sure do that. But for me, I kind of like that as kind of a happy medium, because this is what it looks like. It does stay better, I promise, when you're not wiggling it around. Look, straight dimensional cover. But that's how it looks when your recipient stands it up on their hearth, which of course they're going to, right? Okay, so now let's do a back for this so that you have somewhere to write a pretty sentiment. And we are going to use 2 of the tulips from Flowering Tulips. We're going to use this one, and we're going to use this one, and then we'll use a stem and that little doohickey, which is some grass stuff. All right. I'm going to show you how to do it. You might recall one last time when I was using this set, I showed you that I used, what is it? A permanent marker, a Sharpie, to write the numbers so that I would keep them together. So I've got a 1, I've got a 2, and I've got a 3, and those are the 3 flowers that are made in this set. So this first one I'm going to make with Poppy Parade, and I'm going to double check to be sure that I get this right. So there's 2 images that make it up. The first one I'm going to use straight up Poppy Parade, and the second one I'm going to use stamped off Poppy Parade, okay? And so I just want to be sure. Okay, so this is the, the other thing you could do if you wanted is you could call this 1A and 1B, but see, that would have made life easier for me, and I would never want to do that. That would be crazy. So, you know, if you want to make your life easy, do that. If you want it to be kind of a high adventure every time, that's the way you want to go. Don't give yourself any extra help. Okay, so now here's a tip for getting the stacking correct on this. Okay, this is the order we're going to stamp. We're going to stamp this flower first and then its stem, because that's going to guide where the next flower goes. And then I'm going to stamp this flower and its stem, and then I'm going to stamp the little grassy dudes, okay? I tried one version where I did the 2 flowers together, and my stems were going all which way, not in an attractive way either. So just, you know, that's just me. You do you, but I would recommend that you do it in this order. All right, so we're just going to stamp here with the first image in the series, and then we will ink and stamp off. And then I'm going to pull this to me. Hopefully you can still see it, but I want to be able to line everything up. It's very easy to line it up. As always with these 2-step stamps, I recommend you do the darker color first. It's a lot easier to line the second stamp up when you do that. So there you go. That's how that works out. And we can take a moment here to put the little center in, and I used Mango Melody. You could use Bumblebee, you could use Daffodil Delight, you could use whatever floats you, but I'm just a fan of Mango Melody. I really, really like it. And I'm going to set this aside and do the same on my envelope right quick so that I, you know, because I'm all efficient and stuff. And I almost just stuck that Poppy Parade covered stamp into my Mango Melody pad, and I'm not going to say it out loud, but that would be again, because I already did that once today. All right, and then we're going to stamp number 2 off. So that's a really good way to get multiple colors from one stamp pad, is to stamp it off. And you can stamp it off once, you can stamp it off twice, and then you get a nice image with a different color without having to pull out a different color. Okay, now we'll stamp our middle like this. You guys, you ought to see all my little seedlings. My goodness, they're going crazy. They're all tall. Okay, now I'm going to pull out my pear pizzazz, and I'm going to stamp this little guy's stem. And I'm going to stamp it right there like that. Okay, because I like my stems to go into the corner. That's just me. You do whatever makes you happy, but I like my stems to go into the corner. Okay, the next petal, the next flower we're going to use is flower number 2, and I'm going to do it in petal pink. And I'm going to stamp the first one. Now, because we're going so much lighter, you really can kind of over stamp that other flower and you'll be just fine. So the first image is in full strength petal pink. And the little fill image is in stamped off once petal pink. Don't ink it again. What a dork. Like so. And let me do the inner liner piece. So back to image number 1 of tulip number 2. Oh, and I didn't do my, let me do my stem. Let me do my stem. Stem me. Do we have a stem in the house? We do. Okay, let's try that again. There, rewind. Okay, first image in petal pink. and the second image in Stamped Off Once Petal Pink. And they line up so perfectly. This is one of the nicest stamping sets that we've had in a long time. It stamps perfectly. The images go together perfectly, and it's wonderful. Okay, now we need some stemses, and we need some grasses. So there's a stem. And a stem. And then this little grass doohickey. And it really, this one's kind of, you can do whatever you like with it. I like to add, I call that like baby's breath. It's like baby's breath. Or leaves. Or stems. Or, you know, weeds. However you want to look at it. I just like to stamp it and put a little bit of interest down there. Okay, so let's see. I don't think I had anything else that I was going to do with that. So let's go ahead and mat it up. Put that aside for a second. Gonna mat this on. Oh yes, there we go. Gosh, my brain is having some issues this morning. Like it checked out early this morning and has not checked back in. All right, so this is going on our Pear Pizzazz mat. And I'm gonna put it on my card base, which is Petal Pink, like so. Yep, Poppy Parade and Petal Pink, I probably never would have put them together. But fortunately, I didn't have to. Stampin' Up! Did that. Okay, so I'm going to put this on, and I want it to go like this. Okay, and we'll just use some liquid glue here. I really wouldn't use dimensionals. I mean, normally I would put a card front on with dimensionals, but you got plenty on this card. You don't need any more oomph. Okay, and so there is the card. Dunske. Very pretty easel card with room to write on the back. Recommend if you do this and you write. The other thing too is I didn't put a sentiment here. With this combination here, it could be a birthday card, it could be an anniversary card, it could be a wedding card, I think. I mean, I think it could be a great wedding card, or a bridal shower card, or birthday, or congratulations on graduation. Could be all sorts of things. So I left it blank. But if you're just going to write a note, I highly recommend that you actually open it and lay it flat like this. It'll be a lot easier to write your message. Okay, so let me go ahead and put a little bit of DSP on my envelope flap, and we will be 1,000,000 trillion% done. 1,000,000 trillion%. That is not a percentage, just so you know. That's not even a thing. Okay, and we're going to use this Poppy Parade. Is Poppy Parade like your favorite red? It is my favorite red. I don't know why, but I really, really, really love Poppy Parade. And I'm really loving Poppy Parade and Petal Pink, just saying. Now, I need my, oh, they're there. Paper scissors, paper skeezers. Come here, paper skeezers. There we go. Don't want to cut paper with my ribbon scissors. All righto. And there we be. Done. Done and done. Boom, chaka-laka. Gotta love an easel card. And I got 2 now. Yay, me. Look at that flowering tulips. Isn't that gorgeous? All right, guys. I appreciate you joining me. I hope you'll be back on... yes, Linda, that's about what it is. I hope you'll be back on Saturday. I'll be live on my YouTube channel at 7 p.m. Eastern. So have a great rest of your week and a good start to your weekend. Thank you so much. Ta!